Record.
Okay, good morning and welcome back to our Microsoft IoT course. And I believe today's topic, this is a pre-recorded session because on last Wednesday we have a holiday. So today we're going to discuss about the connectivity. Last week we discussed about how to connect our IoT device to the display. We are using the LED lamp, and then we use also the 7-segment, etc. And today we're going to discuss about connectivity because from our previous discussion using the ITUT standard, ITUT Y2060 standard, in IoT architecture we have something we call a physical thing, which is we usually call it sensor, and then we also have the IoT device, which its main purpose is to collect data, which is data acquisition, and then to process data, and also it can store the data and then send the data to the communication network. So the IoT device has 4 functionality. The first one is data acquisition, getting data from the physical thing or the sensor, and then the second one is to do the data processing, and then data storage, and then also the data sending to the communication network. So if we use data processing in the other device, we call it edge computing. However, if we use the other device just to collect data or data acquisition and then send the data directly to the communication network and then send it to the, for example, IoT cloud or IoT platform, then we can expect that we're going to send all the data and accumulate all the data into the IoT platform or the IoT cloud. And then we're going to expect that we're going to do the computing in the cloud. So that's why it's called cloud computing. So we have cloud computing, and also we also have the edge computing in the IoT device. Okay, so when we're going to send the data from the IoT device to the communication network, we have several possibility. We can use the Wi-Fi, we can also use the LoRaWAN, etc. So today we're going to discuss about the connectivity. Okay, so connectivity. As a guidance to discuss about connectivity, we're going to use the survey paper. It's in my opinion, it's very thorough discussion in this survey paper. It's a survey paper from the 2020. It's investigating messaging protocol used mainly for the IoT. So that means we have much more option for the messaging protocol. However, this survey paper only review the mostly used messaging protocols. Okay, so you can download this the survey paper from the LMS from here. Just click and then download the survey paper. So it's a very long pages for the survey paper, so we can just to focus on several points. The first one is this one, the IoT reference model described by the survey paper. Okay, just zoom this one. Okay. Okay, I think it's big enough. Now, based on this IoT reference model described in the survey paper, we have how many layers? We have 1, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 layers, just like the OC layer. And then actually the name of the layer is almost the same with the 7 OC layer. The bottom one is the physical layer. It either discuss about the cable or wireless or optic, etc. So that's why in physical layer we have the RS485, and then we can also use fiber optic to do the connectivity between the IoT device to the combination network. And then we can also use the RJ45, which is the Ethernet UTP. And then we can also have the coaxial and also PLC, Modbus, etc. That's the mostly common use connectivity in the physical layer in the IoT world. Okay. Now, the second layer, we discuss about the data link. How to connect from one device to another device or from one device to the gateway. To do that, we can use the data link. That means each of the IoT device must have something unique, just like an ID. So it's something like the device ID. So to do this, we can distinguish between one device with another. And then in data link, we can use, let's say, we can use Wi-Fi, and also we can use WiMAX, although in Indonesia, we cannot use WiMAX because it doesn't have the frequency license in Indonesia. And then we can also use the Zigbee, and also, yes, we can use the GPRS, a very old mobile communication connectivity. And then we can also use the Sigfox, LoRaWAN, and then the NFC. NFC is still communication connectivity because sometimes we can use the RFID, and then that RFID, one implementation of RFID is the NFC, near field communication, just like your e-money when you're going through the highway toll. Okay, and then after we can distinguish between one device to another device, how can we send the data? That means we can use the layer number 3, which is in this case is the network layer. In network layer, we can use either, we can use the IPv4, IPv6, and also we can use the IPX, or if we want to make it secure, then we can use the IPsec. And then, this is similar like the 7OC layer. Yes, it's actually almost similar. And then the fourth layer is the transport. Hey, again, it's similar like the TCP/IP and also the 7OC layer. Yes, because in here we can use the TCP or we can use the UDP, etc. Okay, and then after the transport, now we can have the application. This is not like 7OC layer because in 7OC layer we have the presentation layer and session layer, but in here it's mostly similar like the TCP/IP layer because after the transport we have the application, and in this application we can use either HTTP, MQTT, and COAP. This is the three mostly used application protocol. We can use using the HTTP, or maybe using the secure channel, using the TLS, or maybe you can use the MQTT or COAP. Okay, and then there are another 2 layers above the application layer. In here, actually, application is only a way, in this IoT reference model, application layer is just a way to store the data or to send the data, either using MQTT or COAP or HTTP. And then after the data is stored in the cloud, for example, how can we use the data? That's why we need another layer above the application, which is in this case is the data or media type. In here, we can use JSON or XML or probably binary, because sometimes the IoT device is sending an image or maybe an encrypted file, which is in this case, it will become a binary file. Okay. And what is the purpose of this layer? Is to the IoT application and device management layer to collect the data for further processing. For example, we can use the machine learning to analyze the data, or maybe we can get a data insight from the data. So the IoT application and device management is a layer that can use the data stored using the application layer. And to collect the data, the application, so the IoT application is going to connect to the application layer using either JSON, XML, binary protocol, etc. Okay, that's how they describe the IoT reference model in the survey paper. Okay, now we're going to discuss about mostly in this region, data link layer, because we're going to discuss about connectivity in here. Although we can also use, we can also discuss the MQTT and HTTP. Okay, now let's zoom out first. Now, in chapter 3, we also discuss about in traditional IoT architecture, it uses the cloud, which means all of the data will be collected by the IoT device and sent directly to the cloud. And then that cloud is supposed to accumulate or storage the data, all of the data. And then it can also use the abstraction. However, we can also use the edge-based architecture, which means we're going to do data processing in the edge of the network, which means in the IoT device. So if you are using Arduino Uno for the IoT device, or maybe not MCU, or maybe Raspberry Pi, and we're going to do the data processing inside that development board, that's when we use the edge computing, edge-based architecture model. Okay, so which one is better? It depends on the connectivity, because if the connectivity is stable and the bandwidth is big and unlimited power and the signal is always available, that means we don't have to do the data processing on the edge, but just send everything to the cloud and then just leave the data processing to the cloud. However, in most cases, when we're going to implement the IoT, the bandwidth is not unlimited. Power is not unlimited. And then there are several blank spots in the area. That means we need to send just the right amount of data to the cloud. So that means we're going to do data processing in the edge on the IoT device, and then just send the enough data to the cloud. Not every data, but only enough data. For example, this is I have 1,000 data, and then I'm going to send only 3 information. The first one, the number of data, which is 1,000 data, and then the average of the data, and then the standard deviation of the data to explain the precision. Okay, now the next thing we're going to discuss about what is the benefit of using each of the connectivity. So in previous IoT reference model, we have the NFC, we have the Zigbee, we have the Bluetooth Low Energy, and then we also have the Wi-Fi, and then the LTE, LoRaWAN, Sigfox, etc. What is the benefit of one to another? In this table, they explain about the benefit one analogy to another by using 2 aspects. The first one is the throughput, and the second one is the range of connectivity. So if we want to send a very big data, for example, I'm going to use autonomous CCTV. CCTV, that means I'm going to send either high quality or high resolution image, or I'm going to send a video broadcast. That's the purpose of CCTV. That means we need a very big bandwidth. I don't care about the range because it's only CCTV and I'm going to only cover my house. So that means the best possibility solution is by using the Wi-Fi. Why? Because the data throughput is very big, 54 megabit per second. It's big enough to send video or even high resolution image. And the range is enough, 150 meters. Because I don't have a very big home, and then 150 meters is more than enough because the range is only cover around 10 or 15 meters from the IoT device to the access point through the Wi-Fi. Okay. However, if we're going to implement the IoT device or IoT system, let's say in the tea plantation, maybe you remember about tea plantation, there are, it will be placed on the hills or maybe on the mountain, and there are no buildings, and we are going to expect that there is no electricity in there. And however, probably there will be mobile signal, for example, maybe at least GPRS or possibility using the LTE. So in that case, we can use the LTE or probably the LoRaWAN. Depends on how big is the data. If the data is very small, for example, the IoT device will only going to send maybe the temperature, which is in this case is a float, and then also the humidity. Only 2 numbers per minute. So that means LoRaWAN is the best solution because in LoRaWAN, the throughput, yes, it's very small. It's only 0.3 kbps or around 300 bit per second, but it's more than enough to send temperature data and also the humidity data. Okay. Although yes, we can use the LTE. However, the LTE is very big throughput, and the range is 11,000 meter or 11 kilometer. That depends on if we use the LTE mobile, then we can use the LTE satellite or BTS. If we are going to use the LoRaWAN, then we need to implement the LoRa gateway. So it's similar like the Wi-Fi. In Wi-Fi, we need to implement the access point as the gateway. But in LoRaWAN, we also need to implement the LoRa gateway. It's just like an antenna for the LoRa. Okay. So each technology has its own benefit. If we want to send a very big data, then we can use the Wi-Fi. Although we need to take into consideration the range. So it's going to be based on the implementation, where we are going to implement the IoT system. Okay. And then after this, we're going to discuss about the IoT application range. Previously, we discussed about several connectivity, for example, LoRa. LoRa is mostly used, you can use in industry automation. It can be used just for smart metering. Smart metering is like for the I'm not sure how to describe it in English, but it's KWH meter. How can we send the usage of electricity in every household to the maybe something like the data collector for the PLN? That's what we call smart meter. In that case, we can use the LoRa. And then we can also use the smart building using LoRa. And then LoRa, everything is LoRa now. However, if we are going to use the consumer electronics, for example, smart lamp, smart plug, and also everything that's smart in this house, then it's going to be the consumer electronics. And we're going to use the ZigBee. And if we're going to use the wearable smart device, for example, I'm not sure, the handheld, something that you are wearing on like in the wrist, and then I'm not sure what's it called, and then it's going to use the Bluetooth Low Energy. Although the first option for that technology is for the ANT plus. Okay, why ANT? That's because ANT here, the throughput is quite big, 1 Mbps, and the range is up to 50 meters, more than enough to monitor the health of our patient in the hospital. Okay. Now we're going to discuss about what is the difference between MQTT and then also the HTTP. Okay, this is the HTTP. If we're going to use HTTP as the application protocol to send the data, then we're going to use the topology of client and server. So only one data producer, which is the server, and which is the client, the data producer is going to send the data. It's just like the IoT device. So the client is like the IoT device. It's going to send the data to be stored on the server. So the data producer is the client, which is in this case only one client. And then the server can only be one as the data consumer. And then if the client wants to send the data to the server, first it needs to do the handshaking, the three-way handshaking. Okay, it's like the SYN acknowledge and then acknowledge. Oh, okay, you remember about that later on the JARCOM. Okay, so in HTTP, we are expecting to have only one client and only one server. Yes, we can use several client, which means we can have the several data producer, but only one data consumer. Only one server can consume all the data. However, the data, if the client want to send data to the server, it needs to go through the handshaking first, and then send the data, and then you need to do the bye-bye command, etc. However, if we need to do lots of data producer and lots of data consumer, then we can use the MQTT. Okay, where is the MQTT? Okay, this one. In MQTT, we need to have one additional node, which is called the broker. So this is the data producer, is the one who produced the data, or in this case is the IoT device, and then we can have the data consumer. Oh, sorry, it's the other way around because it's subscribed. So this one is the subscriber. This one is the publisher. So this is the IoT device. It's the one who send the data. Is going to publish to the broker. And then the broker will have the list of whoever subscribed to that data. Okay, who's the one who subscribed to data called temperature? Oh, client 1, or maybe client 2, or maybe client 3, or maybe client 4. So there will be a lot of data subscriber. So it's just like a newspaper. We have Kompas, we have Tribuns, and we also have the Pikiran Rakyat. All of them is the publisher. And then we can also have lots of households that subscribe to every publisher, to every newspaper. Okay, I'm subscribed to the Kompas and also Tribuns. And then my friend here is going to subscribe to Tribuns and also the Pikiran Rakyat, etc. Okay, so we have the publisher, the one who send the data, who publish the data, and also we have the subscriber, the one who get the data. And this communication is going through the broker. So the broker is the one who responsible to data security, and then who's the one who subscribe to data called temperature, and who's the one who subscribe to data called humidity, etc. That's the purpose of the broker. Okay, so by examining the protocol, a publisher just publish and publish receive, and then subscriber just connect acknowledge, and then subscribe to temperature, and then subscribe acknowledge, etc. It's very simple communication compared to the HTTP. However, if we are going to use only one publisher and only one subscriber, this will be a lot of effort because we need to add additional node, which is in this case is the broker. But in the HTTP, we don't need the broker, just the client and the server. Okay, that's the benefit of HTTP and the benefit of MQTT. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think that's all for today's discussion. If you have any question, then just don't forget to ask. Don't decide to ask in the group, and then we're going to discuss the answer also in the WhatsApp group. Okay, and also don't forget to do the daily quiz for the connectivity, and the due date is still on Tuesday, so you're going to have 2 more days. Okay, thank you for your attention, and then I'll see you in the next class. Thank you and goodbye.